there's always this weird amount of time when you're on a video call where you say goodbye, but then your face
You're
is still on there.
like, can they still hear me? Oh shit!
I always try and like not make a strange face while I'm doing it, but I feel like I probably just do every time.
Yeah, you can't help it. Like curl your nose up a little bit. Like,
Yeah, it's like in here.
you
Uh,
there?
well, well, hey, how are you? How's your day going so far?
Good. I just got done actually doing another interview.
Oh,
Uh,
dang. So
but yeah,
hopefully they didn't ask you all the good questions.
yeah, man. I'm assuming these are just gonna be shitty.
That's pretty much what I shoot for, low expectations.
Yeah, just real shitty questions. I
It
can't
kind of
wait.
like it gives a different flavor. Everybody else tries to ask good, insightful questions. Mine are more just like, I don't know.
You like chewing gum?
Yeah. Um, have so I assume. Thank you for squeezing us in. By the way, I assume things have probably been crazier since your America's Got Talent.
Yeah, man, it's been a ride for sure. I've been so busy, which is awesome, but definitely going in all directions all the time.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Was there a bigger jump for you as far as like busyness and everything after the All-Star one, or was it kind of similar after the first one?
No, it's definitely. I mean, every time you get to be on national TV, there's a jump. But I mean,
Mm.
the first one definitely was the big one. All Stars is a little different, but I definitely felt the support of fans and stuff. Rooting
Yeah.
me on, and that feels good for sure.
Yeah. I was wondering cuz I think having having kind of like seen from an outside perspective your career a little bit, it seems that you had kind of a steady climb where you first started, you got some positive feedback, and then like obviously there were hurdles and stuff like that, but you kind of like were winning little competitions early on. Was there and I kind of wanted to know what was one of the bigger or scarier leaps as far as stages, like, and as far as growth, like, was it going on America's Got Talent the first time, or was it Last Comic Standing?
I mean, every step of the way is growth. And sometimes
Mm-hmm.
there's big growth spurts and there's little growth spurts. So, you know, doing shows, opening for big names is always exciting and intimidating when you're starting, but then you learn from that, and then all of a sudden you get an opportunity like Last Comic Standing, and it's that's a big growth spurt for sure. You learn shit quick. You take in your surroundings. You learn what that is, and then by the time I got to AGT, I've just been doing this for 20 years, and it's like I'm ready for whatever you present me. I'm gonna do the
Yeah,
show. You know.
yeah, that's cool. I mean, and I could feel that watching your sets on AGT is that you just have a sense of, certainly now you just have like a certain sense of confidence where it kind of like what you're doing, and I think that's reassuring to watch as somebody who's watching stand up. Is I think that's part of what makes your comedy cool and special, is that there is this kind of familiarity, and there's this kind of I don't want to say positivity, but there is kind of a Seinfeld sort of like uh, kind of familiarity about the way that you do stand up, and I
Well,
think
I'm trying to make you feel like we're just having a conversation one
yeah.
on one. We're just talking, and I just happen to be saying funny things.
and
I
I
got
just
it.
yeah, I just happen to be the funniest guy in the room, but it's not a big deal.
It's fun. I love being the funniest guy in the room. Feels good.
Mm-hmm. What did you? I was that confidence something that was built by success, or was it something that you kind of had early on?
I've been told that I've always just looked very comfortable on stage and felt very confident, and like But when I first started, I was fucking terrified, man. Like, I mean, just whatever reason, my body, the way it moves, just looks like it's just what it's supposed to be doing instead of worrying about being on stage. But
Yeah.
now I have this built. I mean, just a skill that I've built over the years of just I've done thousands of shows, and
Mm-hmm.
like if I do a big show like the Tonight Show, I try not to get worried with the idea of messing up because of those thousands of shows I've done. That doesn't really happen, and I'm like, why would tonight be the night that I fuck it up? Like,
You're like, I'm looking at my track record now, and I
yeah,
think at some point I can kind of like rely on the work.
mm-hmm,
What I think that's something that a lot of people who are amateurs at stuff don't understand. You know, I play pickup, and so I'm around a lot of people who are amateurs, think that they're really good, and I think that
Wait, what do you play?
pickup basketball.
Oh, pickup. All right, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I think the difference for me that I've seen between the guys who are really good, whether it's comedy or basketball, is just like you said, they've put in the time and the reps, and
Right.
everybody else is kind of like, oh, I hope I make that shot when I have to maybe step to the left or whatever. And the
Right.
really good guys have practiced that shot 1,000 times.
Not even worried about it.
Yeah.
And I'm at a point where I could eat shit on a joke or two in a row and still know that I could come back from that. Like, where before that would have been detrimental to the whole show. But I can take a chance and say something that might not be funny because I know I have something funnier to say after that.
Yeah. That's interesting. It's kind of like a learned confidence of, oh, well, I'll get it back.
Right.
Back to what you were saying about being terrified early on. I was reading an interview that you had given where you talked about when you first kind of tried to quit or whatever, where you spent a year and a half not doing comedy.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of a couple quotes, but there's like this writer artist E. Cummings, and he had an essay where he talked about being a capital A artist.
Yeah.
And basically that being different than people who wanted to be an artist or people who copied other artists or people who were trying to be successful. And he was kind of saying that it comes from just having a certain temperament that you can't escape, and describes it as being almost a sort of like agony kind of you just have to do it. And it reminded me of what you were saying in that interview about like trying to quit or not doing it for a while and that just not really being an option for you.
No, I can't imagine a life of not doing this. I mean, I have a very strange gift that is beyond what it's much beyond the effort I put into it. Like, I don't really try too hard to be a really amazing fucking stand-up, but I just happen to be that. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's a weird, like, I'm usually a very humble guy, so it's hard to say positive things like that, but like whatever I'm doing, it's beyond me. I have a strange ability to just be comfortable on stage and make you comfortable with my disability and who I am. And I don't think that's something you can learn. It's just a weird thing that's built into me.
Yeah. Yeah. Which that also reminds me of on when you were on America's Got Talent, you said something kind of to the effect of like when you're on stage, it's sort of like this love surrounds you.
Yeah, I mean, it's an energy. It's people. I feed off the energy. I feel it. Like that's why getting a laugh, it just feels fucking good. It's like a positive wave of emotion that comes blasting back at me because of something I said. It's
Yeah.
a cool feeling.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. What was like the first, this is probably a more common question, but I'm always curious about it. Was there a first moment maybe when you were a kid where you were like, hey, I am funny, or maybe not even I'm funny, but like, hey, humor is like this really fun way to sort of like ease social tension.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have a few of those moments in my life, but I remember just being around my friends when I was like 10, and I could just have them doubled over on the floor laughing uncontrollably till they pee themselves. And you're like, well, like, I don't know. Like, when you're a kid, you don't know that's a thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just think you're just being a kid and you're drinking around. You don't know that not everybody is doing that to your friends. And
Yeah.
then I just remember like those moments where, uh, like looking back now, I go, oh fuck! Like I told my friend early on, I said I can make anything funny,
Yeah.
anything. And then I said it's so dumb, but I was like 8 when I said it. I said like hello, hell is low, and I just it's so dumb. But like as an 8-year-old, the fucking friends were like, oh my god, you know. But I just started seeing things like that, like picking them apart, words and how it. But I didn't know it was a thing.
Yeah.
And then and then once I get into school and I start like being in these classes where I was always probably gonna say one really funny thing during
Mm.
class. Like the teacher would say something, and like a heckler, I'd just pop a little thing in there, and the whole class would laugh. And and I was really good at like feeling the timing of that shit. Like somebody
Yeah.
says something, I fill it in with a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I think that's what's so interesting about comedy to me too is that, and I think this is one of the things that, from my perspective, you excel at is that kind of like your 8-year-old hell oh bit is it doesn't have to make sense to be funny, and
Right.
like your recent bit that made me think that is the mountain goat. The thing about your kids being mountain goats is at
Yeah.
first that sort of makes sense,
Right.
and then you just run away with it where it's like I don't even know really where this is going or where it comes from, but it's just funny.
Right. It doesn't. I mean, it's overactive imagination. I think that's I think a really good part of being a comedian is I just have a really good imagination and shit that I can create funny scenarios out of nothing. Like you said,
Yeah.
calling your kids mountain goats isn't funny just that, but then when you tie it into all the other things I say, then it builds this image or idea of a joke.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Um Speaking of that kind of like silly kind of world building style, was there anybody as you started to be more into comedy? Was there anybody that inspired you, or is there anybody that now who kind of you look back on as being like that? That was the person that I wanted to be, or still admire most.
I mean, Chris Rock is always my number one stand up. Like, I just think he's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think it goes back to what you're saying. Like, the stuff that he says should not be funny.
Yeah,
Like, he says some real raw, real shit. But
yeah,
the way he says it, not only is it funny, but it's also educational and hilarious. Yeah.
yeah. Well, and I find that for me, it's not, I wouldn't even say, because some people say, oh, humor is a coping mechanism or something like that, and I think that obviously to an extent, yeah, but I think that's just a reduction of it. Like, because for me a lot of times some of the weirdest or most uncomfortable experiences that I've had, at the same time as I'm experiencing the discomfort or pain, I'm kind of like, but this is kind of funny. and
Right.
and it's not, like I said, it's not just that it's a coping mechanism, it's just that I think for me it kind of shows me that there's a bigger picture behind that momentary discomfort.
Yeah. Well, and who gives a fuck if it is a coping mechanism? Like, I mean, how great is humor to disarm a hard situation or an
Hmm.
awkward situation or like I think it's the best tool you could possibly have. Like I look back at my schooling and the teachers I learned the most from had a little sense of humor where it
Yeah.
kept your attention, and you learn a lot more from that than someone who's not saying something that is funny and keeps your oh, I better listen to what this guy's saying because he might say something good.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like a very powerful, just conversational and social tool when it comes down to it.
There's got to be a bit in there about a coping mechanism. I think there's some. Yeah, like who gives a fuck? Like what do you do? What do you do to cope with your shit? Beat your wife?
um, Speaking of coping mechanisms or just artistic pursuits, I've noticed that you actually have quite a few artistic gifts. From what I understand, you not only are stand up, you also are an artist. You've been an athlete. Maybe are you still are, and a writer as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of stuff. I have a big art show coming up, which is pretty exciting.
Oh, really?
It'll be my fifth art show. I've been doing a lot of paintings, and I have a big new sculpture that I really proud of. I do big
Mm-hmm.
wood carvings.
That's pretty. That's pretty interesting to me because I think obviously painting is a step further from drawing, but I think when it comes to sculpting, that really is uh, kind of you have to put you have to really kind of go after that in a way. Like, for paints you can go to the store and buy some watercolors or whatever, but sculpting is something that you really have to like set out upon doing. How'd you start sculpting?
So I was born in Cameroon, West Africa, and I used to live in Senegal, West Africa, and there's a lot of amazing wood carvings there. So that was
Mm-hmm.
just my beginning and my interest and my love of it. And then I just started fucking around with a knife and cutting things, and then I've just loved it ever since. And I've gotten more successful, and I could buy more tools, and now I'm doing shit in bigger scales. And I'm also a pyromaniac, so I incorporate a lot of fire into my wood carving. Like I actually carve with fire.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
that is crazy. You're basically the true definition of a Renaissance man.
Yeah, it's weird. I've definitely done a lot of shit, and I speak three languages, and
Dang.
uh, been all over the world. Been to 44 countries. Been a busy boy.
um, how did have you always just done a lot of different had a lot of different hobbies or pursuits like since you were a kid, or is that something that as you pursued one thing, other avenues opened?
Yeah, I mean, as a kid, again, you're just a little dumbass. You don't know what you're doing. But I used to draw a lot. I've always had a weird eye for color in paintings and
Mm-hmm.
drawings. I used to do pastel art, and people were like, "Your composure of color is really strong and unique." And again, I don't know. I haven't studied any of that shit. It just feels right when I do it. Like
Yeah.
this is how it's supposed to be done. Um, Again, a lot of this is just self-taught shit too. I just like stuff and I go and figure out how to do it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, as a kid, I had, I can't say I had too many hobbies. Maybe some soccer and jerking off.
The average American youth.
Well, no, I'm still into that.
Trust me, that has not waned with time.
No, it doesn't. No. What else are you gonna do?
You have to have some way to fill the time. That reminds me of that Seinfeld bit where he says that life isn't short; it's actually way too long.
Yeah.
uh, I wanted to ask you also. So obviously, so when you were on America's Got Talent, um, well, firstly, I wanted to ask you, how was it? How was your experience doing just a bunch of clean material? Was that like, because you're not, you're not a super dirty comedian, anyways. But obviously, it is different. Was that a challenge for you, or was it kind of?
Well, I mean, here's the thing: is I'm not a gratuitously sexual comedian, but I do like to say fuck.
Mm-hmm.
But I also look at it like swearing is a condiment to the meal. It's not the meal; it just adds a little flavor. So, but
Yeah.
as far as not being, being clean on TV, like the way I look at it again is I'm a fucking professional.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot say fuck for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Much over that it's hard, but
Yeah.
and it's not. Again, I don't feel like I'm saying it like to be vulgar. It's just like that's how I talk. I mean, this
Yeah.
is me talking to you. I've said fuck 13 times already.
Is that a fact?
I have a fuck clicker.
It's right here by my side.
Yeah,
You just
yeah,
can't see it because the video's off.
yeah. Click, click.
My other question related to America's Got Talent, a lot of the kind of behind the scenes for all the footage that they shot in between your sets, a lot of it was kind of like very much your story, and and kind of like certainly some kind of like dramatic element to it. Was that something that you wanted to tell, or was that something that kind of got played up for that show?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a reality show. They're gonna try to make drama or pull at the heartstrings and pull at the thing. And like for me, I just look at it like a vessel for my craft. So
Mm-hmm.
I got to be on the biggest stage in the world
Yeah.
and do what I love to do, but I had to play by their rules.
Yeah.
But also by that rationale, they would always try to make my story about being struggle and having to overcome stuff, and I was always like, that ain't who I fucking am. Like,
Yeah.
I'm here to rule the world. I'm not
Yeah.
uh, like so. To a certain extent, I'm gonna give them what they want, so that they want to use me more. But
Yeah.
also, I'm also not gonna give them exactly what they want.
Yeah.
Does that
Was
make
there
sense?
was there something specifically that you pushed back on being a part of that?
They just always wanted to hear the part how hard it is for me to do what I do because of my disability. And the
Mm-hmm.
truth of the matter is, I don't even see it like that. I really don't. This
Mm-hmm.
is a hard job for anybody.
Yeah.
Like being
Yeah.
a stand-up is a very small group of really good stand-ups in the world.
Yeah.
So I don't see it like I'm struggling any harder than anybody else. But also like, I'm very proud of being athletic and very proud of like I'm an old man now, but like I used to love to beat able-bodied people in races. Like how
Yeah.
fun is that for the guy with palsy to smoke somebody? And like
Yeah.
so like I always look at it like that. I'm always trying to be the best in the room no matter what we're doing, be it playing backgammon or fucking fishing,
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I am too. It's kind of it's a blessing and a curse, because obviously on one hand, it makes you learn to get better at stuff, and then on the other hand, it's like, why can't I lose at darts? Like, does that really matter?
Yeah, my son killed me in chess the other day, and I was so mad. It really hurt my feelings.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I have to ask myself, does this have anything to do with like, your value or anything? Oh wait, no, this is just a random game.
No, but when it's your son beating you, it's really hurtful.
Well, that's what, what's funny about that is that me and my dad used to play chess like all through growing up, and then I think when I was about 12, I started to just beat him every time. And
Yeah, and like I remember when I beat my dad in chess, and I was like, "Well, we come a long way. This is awesome." And then we started playing less because I was getting good. And
well, with my dad, what happened was then one time we played and he was doing all these weird maneuvers and stuff, and I think you won. And I came to find out that he had looked up strategies online so that he could beat me.
Nice. Well, whatever it takes to maintain the throne.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, but it's also there's a sense of like pride that you taught him to surpass what you know.
Yeah,
But
exactly. I forced him to get better at his chess game. So
right. Well, and then the other thing is my son plays like 30 games on his phone a day.
yeah.
And then I'll make a move and they'll be like, "Oh, you're making this move." And I'm like, "I don't like it. You know the names of the shit." Like
The Koratskian strategy.
yeah, I'm
Yes,
like,
of
uh-oh.
course.
I think I'm gonna lose this game.
That's pretty funny. Um, you have 2 kids, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And how old are they now?
My boy just turned 15, and my girl it will be 13 in a
Dang.
couple of weeks.
So this is kind of the time where you figure out if they actually like you.
Yeah, and the jury is still out.
That's pretty exciting, though. I mean, that's a fun age. Was there like I'm always interested to know this just because my brother actually just had his first kid, and I think obviously it's kind of a common question, but being a parent does change the way that you look at life. And what was there a way that being a parent changed the way that your goals maybe for stand up or the way that you saw stuff?
I mean, it definitely changed my whole perspective of reality and what was what, and then all of a sudden it like what it does is like all of a sudden it opens this door to what your parents have been dealing with your whole fucking life. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's
Yeah.
why they said that. Oh,
Mhm.
you're like, oh fuck, okay, now I
Yeah.
get it. You're just worried that you're gonna walk off a cliff, or whatever fucking kids do. You know?
Uh-huh. I always thought they were just being annoying, but now I realize they just cared about
Yeah,
me.
it's so annoying.
That's pretty funny.
Like I remember one time we were at the Grand Canyon, and
Mhm.
there was a false ledge. Like it was like it looked like you're right by the edge of the canyon, but there was like a 3 foot drop, and then it was flat again for a ways. But
Mhm.
my dad was far enough away, and I jumped off it. Like I'm gonna jump off the cliff, and then I just jumped off, and it looked like I was just jumping into the Grand Canyon. And he was like, "I'll be in the car." He was fucking mad. And then if my kid did that to me now, I would punch him in the head. Like, what are you doing? What the fuck are you doing?
uh, that's hilarious. But yeah, I mean, it is so different, and it is like an interesting. I mean, I think it's one of the cool parts for me about growing up and getting a little bit older is understanding like sometimes when you're a kid you could just pick at everything that your parent does, and I've
Yeah,
realized, especially me getting older, I was like, man, my parents really love me, and a lot of their mistakes actually come from that, and
right.
that gives me a whole different perspective on that.
Yeah, it's a clusterfuck.
Yeah. um I want you kind of talked about it a little bit, but I wanted to ask you because you mentioned that you just have this kind of desire to be great at everything. Um, do you have, this is a question that I love to ask, but do you have any kind of like life philosophy? Uh, or is it something that, or is it just kind of like with comedy where you just do things the way that you do them and it's natural to you?
I think it is a call. Like I feel a call to do things. Like
Mm-hmm.
you gotta paint today, and then I just don't feel right unless I paint.
Mm-hmm.
But also I feel like the one thing I've told myself is like if I ever don't achieve anything, it's not because of palsy. It's just because I'm being lazy. Serious. I mean, everything I've done is because I did it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you don't even get up and try to do it, then it's definitely never going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you I do think that's super interesting because I think with a lot of people, and everybody has their own struggles, but I think that often, say people I talk to or I see or even myself at times, it's easy to think of only the hurdle that you have to get over, and oh, well, this is my chances of doing that, or this is the reason that I can't do this, rather than
Right.
rather than just having an idea of like, well, actually this is possible. And so like you said, if it doesn't happen, it's because I didn't do it, and it's not
Yeah.
because what's in my way.
Yeah. Well, that's it exactly. Like, I mean, I get so many, messages on social media like, you're so inspiring. I've never been able to do what I want to do. I want to be a painter, but I just never. And they're like, well, buy some fucking paints and paint something. Like, now you're a painter. Good job. What's next? Like, like I just always see these like excuses. Oh, this is in the way. That's in the way. No, you're in the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of the times what stops people, or myself too, is the idea of having to be successful when, like you said, it's just like, are you doing it or not? And I think life is way too short to worry about what other people think about it. It just has to be, am I going to do what I want to do or not?
Well, I have this example about some of my painting. Like I do these abstract color paintings with just like throwing paint on canvas and just mixing it all together. And
Mm-hmm.
I had somebody one time, I could do that. I'm like, well, the difference is I've already done it. Like you could, but you won't, and you'll never sell your thing because I'm already have an art show doing it.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
how I feel. Like you can
That's a
talk
different.
all the shit you want, but what have you fucking done?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That is. I mean, I think that's a good point, and I also think that it's a good philosophy to have. Um. Another question that I have, speaking of creativity, how is you said that creativity for you kind of is partially just you feel prompted to do stuff. Is that do you feel like that's sort of life purpose? Do you think that's a spiritual force, or where do you think that comes from?
ADD? I don't know. I don't know, man. I just feel like I call it like a lust for life,
Mm-hmm.
like a drive to be living, like just go
Yeah.
do stuff, make people wonder how you did it, or like, wow, like, having cerebral palsy, people don't expect me to use a chainsaw to carve a giant tree. You know? So that, to me, I like making people have wonder.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, I don't know.
Yeah. No, it does.
I
That's a
never
good
said
way.
that before, but, but it's true. Like, I love making people go, God, he just did an hour of stand-up comedy that my stomach hurts from laughing so hard. Like, how the fuck did he do that? Like, I
Yeah.
don't know.
I don't know either. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, what was it that you said? You said,
Hey, can you hold on 1 second? I'm gonna let
yeah.
this cat out.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry.
No, all good. Yeah, it reminded me of what you were saying about living life to the fullest. One of my favorite quotes is, if if you ever wanted to know, like, of just someone's life that was too bizarre to be true, there was this guy, I think he's Danish. He was Danish, a Danish astronomer back in, I think, the 1600s or something. His name was Tycho Brahe. Um, and there was a lot of very interesting things about him. He had a pet moose, which he would feed beer to. And he had his own island, which he was given by a king. But he was and he had a silver nose, I think, too. Like, the more that you learn about him, just he's so fascinating and insane. But when he was dying, his last words were recorded to be, I'm not gonna pronounce it right if I say it in Dutch, but basically it was "May I not have lived in vain."
Wow, sounds like my kind of guy.
Yeah, you have to look up, like, his bio, because, like I said, you won't believe all the different. When he was young, his uncle asked for him to be his adopted son, and then his dad reneged on the deal, so his uncle stole him. When he was a child, like, there was just so many crazy things that happened in his life. And he had a silver nose because it was cut off in a duel.
Again, my kind of guy.
But just wrapping up here, because I know you're a busy man, you got a heart out here. So I just wanted to ask you a couple of just fun questions. What is there a bit that you heard? Maybe it's one of yours, or just one that you've heard recently, where you're like, "That's really good," or "That's really funny."
I mean, there's always so many funny jokes, so many funny people that I get to be around.
Mm-hmm.
My friend Janae, she opens for me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And she just said her feet are ugly. Let's just say she looks like she could run fast barefoot.
I like that. That another thing which I love music, and I love movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is there anything, like an album you've been listening to, or something that that you watched recently where that you're excited about?
Yeah, I mean, I've really been enjoying the Parquet Courts, the band.
What are they called?
Parquet Courts.
Parquet Courts. What kind of music?
It's rock, a little punk. I've really been pleasantly surprised with their stuff. You should check them out, man.
Yeah, I like that kind of stuff. I just started going into more of a rock phase. I don't know if you're gonna like them, but I've been listening to a fair amount of, like, Third Eye Blind, a little bit of, like, Smashing Pumpkins, that era kind of.
Oh yeah, going back to some Pumpkins, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I like Pumpkins. I mean, I have a pretty wide musical palette. I like a lot of hip hop, but I also love, like, Nirvana, and I'm buddies with Nathaniel Rateliff.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
He's one of my favorites right now. I mean, good dude, but his music is fucking great.
Yeah. Just last thing. What's maybe a small thing? I have a couple of these things myself, but what's maybe, like, a small thing that you do, maybe on a daily basis, or maybe when you're, like, bored or something like that? What's a small thing in your life that makes you happy?
I smoke weed every day. Get hard. I mean, that'll definitely do it. That'll do it for sure.
That's your go-to. That's your
Yeah,
go-to.
for sure, man. Some people need Adderall or Prozac. Just give me a bowl of some kind bud and I'm good.
Well, I'm gonna let you go here. We're coming up on our time, but thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for this conversation. You're like I said, you're a Renaissance man, and it's always good to talk to somebody who's a great comedian and a good thinker as well.
Well, thanks, man. It was a good talk, man. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, I'll keep. Last thing before I let you go, is there anything specific you want to plug? Yeah.
Oh yeah, so my social media has been going pretty good. So on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter is all Josh Blue comedy. I'm also on TikTok. It's Josh Blue Comedy, and then I have my own YouTube channel. Is Josh Blue Tube is the channel name, and then you can always check out my specials on Amazon Prime.
Sweet. Thank you so much, and good luck with the craziness that's going on. And I look forward to seeing all your new stuff.
Rock on, brother. Thank you.
All right, Lates.